President Uhuru Kenyatta today presided over the launch of BIDCO Industrial Park in Ruiru, Kiambu Country as part of the ongoing government efforts to grow the manufacturing sector. Mr. Kenyatta held the opening of the industrial park, saying it will help end poverty and unemployment, especially among the youth. He said the government will not buy ICT equipment from abroad when there are companies in Kenya which can do the same. The park sits on part of 80-acre parcel of industrial land and comprises of a 550 litres per day effluent treatment plant, 90,000 litres per hour water filtration facility. Additionally, the park has 66 kilowatt power station to supply 7.5 megawatts of electricity to the factory.
Our BIDCO story has a lot of lessons to offer for all of us. We started off in a small factory in 1985, in a small place in Nairobi as a soap plant. And then we built up that into an edible oil plant in Thika in 1991. 1992, we started commercial production. In fact, I'm honored that Stephen Dichu is also here. Honorable Stephen Dichu was with us then. He was area MP, and we had a good time at that time too. But apart from that, we've kept on building ourselves from Kenya, from Thika, and from Kenya, going into Tanzania, Uganda, and now in Madagascar. We use all the best practices. You talk about ISO 9000, 18,000, 14,000, all the best practices in the world, we bring them back home here, and we do it in Kenya. I think the belief is that our people are capable of doing world-class production in Kenya, and it's not impossible. I know your vision. Your vision is that Agenda Big Four is making sure that we get manufacturing and agribusiness to become big time in Kenya. We're saying, let's lead from the front, let's make it happen. I know at times in our meetings you get impatient to say, let's see action. This is action in progress and really making it happen. Apart from that, I think when you've actually said as a government that we're going to make sure competitiveness in Kenya is improved, you're actually leading by action. In the last budget, we want to thank you, entire government, for really pushing things in the right direction for manufacturing and agribusiness. Of course, everything wasn't done, but there's still room for progress. Apart from that, I think there's a lot more competitiveness we need to address, and really, once we address that, we have no problem in getting to Vision 2030, because at that time, we shall be able to make sure we are very competitive as a big hub. I think our story goes back to Vision 2030. We also, as a company, have a Vision 2030. It's to grab, grow, and sustain #1 market share in the African markets by the year 2030. Gratitude is important today to say that you are all here. We want to say our gratitude from the family, from all our partners for making this happen. And I think the most important thing is the grace that you've shown by being here to show Kenya has real public-private dialogue. Nowhere else in Africa have we seen this model. And this is where government and private sector sit together and handle issues and sort them out. And really, kudos goes to you and your government.
To us in Kiambu County, today is a big day. Because you yourself have come personally to open the biggest industrial park in our county, where over 6,000 people will be employed, either directly or indirectly. And we must say that we are very, very proud of BIDCO company because of what they are showing other Kenyans that they can do and what they have already done for our county. And I must tell you that I am the one who approved all these infrastructure when I came in. They were stuck. They were stuck for 2 years. And I have approved so many of them. And I must tell you that we are supporting 100% your Big Four agenda.
I'm here in my capacity as the High Representative of the African Union on Infrastructural Development. But I've also been invited here as a Kenyan. And I'm happy to be here, Your Excellency, to witness the opening of this great project. Probably a confession is in order at this stage. Your Excellency, remember last year when we did the handshake, we said we would start a journey to try to bring this country together. Before that, our people had engaged in what we call resist movement. And as they say that when two elephants are fighting, the grass is that suffers. So BIDCO was one of those companies that was on the list of resist. But when we came together, we said that all those companies, there were 4, we had lifted the ban and told our people to go and continue buying the products manufactured by those companies. Bimal and I have been friends for a long time. And the old man, of course, go back a long time, he was also a friend of our family. What they have done here is a great thing, because this is creating employment for many people. I'm told that about 10,000 people are going to be employed here. And this is the direction that we want to go. I will confine my remarks only to infrastructure. Your Excellency, infrastructure is very important for manufacturing. That manufactured products need to reach the customers as quickly and as cheaply as possible. I have been told that this company now exports to the Middle East and to Mauritius, Madagascar, and so on. Their biggest complaint is the freight costs of taking their goods from here down to Mombasa. And they're saying that SGR costs are slightly higher than those charged by the road transporters. And they're saying that instead of the wagons going back to Mombasa empty, that if they reduce the rate a little bit, they would prefer to use the SGR, and that would help, in fact, in promoting their exports. The other thing, Your Excellency, that we wanted to talk about is the cost of energy in our country. Energy is very important in attracting investors in the field of industry. Investors will come in an area where there is abundance of energy, where the production and the consumption are not at par, but where there's sufficient excess so that they know that there will be sufficient energy when they bring their plants into the country. At the moment, the least cost power plant that we are operating does not inspire confidence in investors. Secondly, we need to reduce our costs. We are still at 14 or 16. We need to come to 7 cents per unit and below. That will be very attractive for investors in our country. Those, Your Excellency, are the only issues that I wanted to talk about here going forward. But I want to say that we are committed to bringing the people of this country together so that we can work to develop this country, so that we can be able to realize the Kenyan dream as coined by the founding fathers of our nation. Thank you.
Today, Your Excellency, we have the SGR, and we have a huge road infrastructure in our nation. When I had a chat with Vimal this morning, he was talking to me about the Eastern Bypass. And I was telling him that already, Your Excellency, you have instructed for the dualing of the Eastern Bypass so that goods and services from industry in this area can find their way to the SGR and to exit from here in a much more faster and cost-efficient manner. Your Excellency, many of the people who are hired in this facility, when I was talking to the CEO, many of them are graduates from our TVETs. Almost 90% of the people hired in this manufacturing facility come from our TVETs. And I was informing them that you have already facilitated the construction of a technical training college right here in Ruiru. And there will be a collaboration between this facility and the Tibet that is coming up in Ruiru so that we can train personnel that will be industry and job market ready for them to take up jobs in these facilities. Your Excellency, this facility you launch here today is another milestone in your journey to industrialize this nation. When you identified the Big Four and centralized it around manufacturing, it was this kind of transformation that you had in mind. And Your Excellency, we are very proud as members of your team to work with you as you personally take charge of the public-private partnership and discussion that has facilitated this kind of investment by the private sector on a factory like this. This factory, Your Excellency, creates value adds, creates jobs, adds entrepreneurs and business people, and finally creates wealth that eliminates poverty in our nation. And therefore, Your Excellency, a big congratulations to the BIDCO family for this great investment.
We all note with satisfaction that this park is not only modern, but it is also energy efficient, and it will significantly enhance our local manufacturing sector. Let me, as I have already done, but repeat again, take this opportunity to congratulate you, Mzee, and indeed the entire BIDCO Africa group for this very, very visible expression of confidence in Kenya's investment climate. Indeed, from the very first investment made by the BIDCO Group 34 years ago in 1985, to today, as we open this ultra-modern facility, this is complete evidence of the highest demonstration of patriotism and faith in the country's economic prospects by the BIDCO Group. Asanteni sana, pongezi. So today also marks a significant milestone towards the realization of my administration's aspirations to grow the contribution of our manufacturing sector to the national cake from its current 8.4% to 15% over the medium term. Expansion of our manufacturing sector undoubtedly holds the key to the realization of job creation, in particular for our youth. I am, in this respect, very impressed that this facility has already created 1,000 direct jobs, 5,000 indirect jobs through the BIDCO distribution channel, and as the company grows, we'll hire a lot more of our young Kenyans to work here. What pleases me most, actually, is that through contract farming, the BIDCO Group has engaged over 35,000 farmers from across the country who supply them with soya, sunflower produce, and many other products. And this, in essence, is what we're trying to achieve as a nation. A manufacturing sector that links other productive sectors of our economy into the manufacturing value chain. This investment by BIDCO Africa Group would not have been possible without the right conditions being in place, and certainly not without a good measure of trust by the investors. Even the issues that remain as outstanding challenges to business, I want to promise today, it will be resolved by the government. We shall resolve all of them. And let me assure you that this faith is not misplaced. As a government, we remain committed to do even more to improve the investment climate. Our focus is on implementing more business-friendly policies designed to reduce the manufacturing cost in Kenya and thereby enhance our manufacturing sector's global competitiveness. These policies are being implemented with a single-minded desire for results. We, as many may already know, are in this respect using a whole-of-government approach under the framework of National Development and Implementation Committee that I put in place at the beginning of this year and that meets every week. Through this framework, we have addressed various impediments that have been a hindrance to the sustained growth of our local manufacturing base. And amongst these challenges are issues such as counterfeit and illicit goods, dumping, VAT refunds, taxation policies on manufacturing, government pending payments, energy costs, port and transport logistic delays, bureaucratic red tape, corruption, multiplicity of regulatory fees and levies, market access for locally made goods, amongst many other concerns.